I'm Paul Fuller, Assistant Curator at Maine Maritime Museum. I wanted to take a moment today to briefly talk about a topic that's very important in the maritime world: rescue. People have long been dedicated to risking their lives to helping those in need, and artists, for likely just as long, have been sharing those depictions of those scenes with us. The first image I want to talk about is a watercolor by the artist John Worf. Worf was born in 1903 in Winthrop, Mass. He spent much of his teenage years learning from artists in Provincetown and developed a great affinity and talent for maritime scenes. By the mid-1920s, he was a renowned artist with shows throughout the United States. This particular painting depicts figures in foul-weather gear on a rocky shore. It's a striking scene. Waves are crashing at the left, and figures are struggling with a rope. The figure on the right is bringing our attention to something just outside the frame of the painting, which only strengthens our sense of unease. What's happened over there? Is the ship wrecked far offshore? Are people in danger? We don't know what exactly is calling the figures in the scene to action, but we can only imagine that it's a matter of grave importance. Why else would they be where they are in weather like that? In the second image, we see two men on a rocky shore. They're in the middle of planning how they're going to rescue people from the vessel that we can see burning just offshore. And some debris is actually already starting to wash ashore, and we can perhaps just barely make out two hands clutching to that debris. Again, we see the rough seas dramatically crashing into the rocks, and we even have a crowd of onlookers gathered to watch the scene unfold. This oil painting was made by the artist P.D. Miller in 1918, and its title, The Lifesavers, is a reference to the U.S. Lifesaving Service, which was formally established at a national level in 1848. The Lifesaving Service's history goes back decades before that, though, with the Massachusetts Humane Society, which formed in 1786. And you're forgiven if you aren't familiar with the Lifesaving Service. It merged with the Revenue Cutter Service in 1915 to form the U.S. Coast Guard, which I'm sure you are familiar with. Sometimes rescuers weren't able to go out themselves to wrecked vessels, and they had to develop other means of getting out there. So these next images are both depictions of the rescue of the crew of the Oki-L Alexander, a collier that wrecked off Cape Elizabeth in a gale in March 1947. Because the Alexander was still so far from land and the seas were too rough, rescuers opted to use a breeches buoy, which is something kind of like a zip line, to get the crew off the vessel. Rescuers fired the first line from the shore to the ship using a Lyle gun, and then they could start working to get the seat out to the vessel, which would then take people ashore one by one. This first image, a watercolor by an unknown artist, is based on a photograph taken during that rescue. And just like in the previous painting, there were lots of people that came to watch, and they were able to document everything that happened. There are plenty of photographs showing us exactly how helpers on shore worked to save sailors that cold March morning, and artists have been able to use those photographs as inspiration for their paintings. In the painting, we can see a lone figure suspended between the Alexander and the shore, and this is that exciting detail that the second image, an oil painting by Dana Willard, also focuses on. This version of the rescue depicts far fewer people on the shore, but still shows us the breeches buoy and the lone figure dangling above the frigid water. The rescue of the Alexander was a total success in the end. The entire crew was saved by the fast action of the Coast Guard and local volunteers in Cape Elizabeth. We are able to tell this story because of their work, because of the work of those who photographed the rescue, because of the artists who painted it, and because of people who donate items to the museum, like the name board from the Oki-L Alexander, which is on display in our Into the Lantern exhibit. The drama and excitement of saving people from wrecked ships is readily apparent, and artists have long been drawn to the topic and depictions of the heroic work involved. I hope you've enjoyed these few examples from our collection. There are plenty of others. Take a look around and let us know what you find.